Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 2 in a best of 3 series between Evil Genius's Axslav versus mousesports' MorroW. Game 1, if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. Perhaps one of the best, well, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but MorroW did come out with the win. Obviously, as you can see, he's taking a 1-0 lead here. Axslav spawning on the top left-hand side of Protoss. Meanwhile, over here on the bottom left-hand side, MorroW spawning as the blue Zerg. So this is going to be Zerg versus Protoss once more, and we'll see what happens in this particular matchup. Protoss, one of those maps that has a lot of different variations and versions, and that you have to be careful of. One of the things that I like about Protoss is there is a small expansion within your high ground location over here. And because it is so easy to defend, many Zerg players just opt to normally try to expand into that place. We'll see if MorroW does in fact do that. And because there is that easy expansion there, many of the times any early pressure, say Zealots, barracks pressure against Zerg doesn't really work out. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why MorroW decided to not veto this map, as this map is so strong, or it can be so strong for Zerg. There is also another expansion over here as well. The expansion is blocked by destructible rocks, but it is one of those 3-quarter expansions, but with a rich Vespene geyser, allowing 6 gas per trip instead of 4, or is it 5? Or is it 5 and 7? You know what? I don't remember. My numbers are all getting confused anyways. Axslav currently looking to perhaps expand on his own as well, and it will be an expansion first. Wow, so Axslav going for an expansion faster than MorroW at this time. As you can see that there's currently a spawning pool already, 3/4 of the way completed, but with a hatchery now being placed on as well. It looks like MorroW going to stick to his standard economic game. And that's one of the reasons why Axslav is able to go ahead and expand over here on the 11 o'clock location with the minimal amount of resources. Knowing your opponent and knowing your opponent's strategy definitely helps out. Play against their race, and then play against the opponent if you know their particular playing styles. Probe now also warping in an additional pylon here, and this is kind of interesting, as the drone is going to be able to quickly come in here and see that there is a double pylon location. And by the looks of this, I would say another building would be placed down here, and this would be a complete wall off to protect against any Zerglings. A drone has already scouted out the high ground nexus here, but this is a rather strange play, as the destructible rocks are in the way. And I believe as soon as a cybernetics core comes into here, is it going to be a cybernetics core after the... waiting for another cybernetics core, and now you can either walk in through here or perhaps try to take down these destructible rocks. MorroW has in fact gotten another expansion here at what I'll call the 7 o'clock location, the fold expansion here, as MorroW doesn't want to fall behind in the economic game, and now probes being transferred to that high ground expansion I was talking about earlier. Axslav having a lot of energy on the nexuses, should probably be chrono boosting as many probes out as possible. The longer you have a probe out, the more minerals they can mine, and the better and the faster the cooldown on your nexus in order to train even more probes. And that is one of the benefits for Protoss being able to queue up so many probes so easily. But it still doesn't beat the Zerg ability to be able to train up. I believe it's on average 10 drones per minute with the help of a queen. I just realized that I do not want to get any messages during this time, so go ahead and take that off there, as an overlord is going to position itself here and perhaps try to do a suicide run to figure out what exactly is going on inside Axslav's base. MorroW still mining away. MorroW still mining away, running off of 3 bases now, and with that additional base and additional hatchery is really going to be able to rack up the drone production even higher. 4 drones currently being queued up, no queen here yet, and only 1 queen at the main location so far. So MorroW really needs to try to get his macro into gear. He is currently behind in Overlords, but he is spending those additional minerals on upgrades instead. A really smart move, as I think queens are going to be trained up in just a moment, in addition to a couple more drones. Axslav also playing a game of Sim City right now, building the best possible base that he can, but he really needs to do something else. A Stargate pressure would probably work out fairly well because of the fact that MorroW doesn't have that many queens at this time. But the longer this game goes, oh, a Stargate is up. So where is that Stargate being built? The Stargate is over here. Does MorroW see it? MorroW does not see that Stargate. And as soon as, or as long as Axslav starts training up a lot of Void Rays, those Void Rays are going to be able to come out and put a lot of pressure very, very quickly. A Void Ray is able to be trained up in 40 seconds as long as you double chrono boost it. And that shouldn't be a problem for Axslav right now, who's running off of 2 Nexuses. Back over here, we're going to see a probe be able to slip through, and there is going to be an evolution chamber now coming down, a second evolution chamber, a spore colony is going to be coming in as well. Do we have any additional queens? Yes, MorroW finally getting another queen at the high ground expansion, and a queen over here. The queens have just been hatched, and now going to start finally spawning larvae and getting an even higher larva count. What the Void Ray is being queued up, a Phoenix now being added, and the Phoenixes train up even more quickly, so perhaps 2 to 3 Phoenixes in addition to that Void Ray will be able to shut down many of these expansions over here. So it's going to be air pressure against MorroW's 3 base, and without any spore crawlers, that's going to be a problem. Spine crawlers now underway, but the spine crawlers are not going to be able to deal anything, obviously, with those air units. MorroW is having a little bit of problem of not exactly knowing what's going on, and canceling all of those spine crawlers after seeing the Void Ray. So that Void Ray in the air quickly revealed, and now you can see a quick change. MorroW now going into a spore crawler build instead, as the sentries move out, and a Nexus is going to be warped in over here. But the quick question is going to be whether or not the Void Ray and those 2 Phoenixes are going to be able to deal enough damage. MorroW quickly changing into the Hydralisk Den tech with a lot of Hydras, and that is going to perhaps be very, very efficient. Overlord's now going to get shot down, as well as the Zerglings trying to run away. The Overlord should perhaps try to get some damage onto the hatchery, and if it's able to get some damage onto the hatchery, and will come out ahead there. And now going after more and more Overlords. MorroW going to be supply locked for a little bit of time as more Phoenixes are joining the army now. In comes some additional spine crawlers now. So spine crawlers are being built, and not quite sure why, as the Void Rays are able to so easily charge off of those units there. And in comes a queen. The queen now taking a fair amount of damage as well, trying to run away, but there is a spore crawler nearby. The Void Ray may get taken down. I don't know what Axslav is watching, and he loses a Void Ray there. We now also have an army of Stalkers and Sentries making their way through. Graviton beaming the Queen, and now going to take down another Queen here. Are we going to get enough damage onto those Spine Crawlers before they are finished morphing into play? No, but going after some of the Hydralisks instead, and the Zealots getting a lot of damage in here. It looks like 1 Spine Crawler will get taken down. A 2nd Spine Crawler will go down as well, as that Guardian Shield not really protecting against any of those other units. And now this hatchery is going to get taken down. Taking a look at the harvester count, 60 probes versus 56, but more and more Hydralisks are being trained army-wise. Axslav in such a dominant force right now, just going after those units one at a time, going to be able to finish off any of those Hydralisks, and this hatchery will go down with little to no issue. Stalkers are in play. There are a lot of sentries, but the problem is that those Stalkers do not want to go toe-to-toe against those units. Perhaps opening up the ramp and making it even wider would probably be a very safe bet. The Groove Spines have not been researched yet, so that is going to help out even more. And what are those Phoenixes planning to do? That is the key question now. Spore Crawler now trying to make their way out, as well as now the units are going into battle. And there you go, up comes a Queen now going to get taken down rather quickly. Another Spore Crawler going to get taken down as well. And oh, the force field not in time, as both sides battle it out. Multiple force fields, but the Hydralisks are now getting picked up, as well as the Overlords are suiciding their way in as well to try to absorb as much damage as possible. Axslav has a large amount of minerals, and he is not keeping up in terms of his production, and that's going to be a real issue, as now both sides have traded armies and bases. Axslav did not have a Nexus over here, just patrolling with that 1 unit, and Axslav, who did a lot of damage here, really is not that far ahead. Taking a look at the harvester count, 64 probes versus 51. That is a significant advantage there, but the Zerg army is slightly larger at this stage, as another Nexus now coming in. If Axslav had started to warp in this Nexus here, he could easily start transferring some probes. This is just beyond saturation. Too many probes at each of these bases, and that is the reason why Axslav is just almost behind at this point. A slip in macro, while MorroW now reestablishing this hatchery down over here. 50 drones compared to 68. So there is still a significant probe advantage, but the harvester count, or if you take a look at the actual mining rates on both of these, it's about even, as no probes are really being transferred over here yet. So really just not utilizing these probes very efficiently. You only need, what, 18 probes to fully saturate this mineral patch, and he has 25. So yes, half of these probes are not being utilized as they are now finally being transferred into this location. Axslav and MorroW pretty much with the same mineral size army and only a slightly different gas army at this point. MorroW establishing this expansion over here. I believe it is on the high ground. It is closer to the center portion, and now a very, very natural progression over. Production-wise, we see an observer currently being trained, 2 additional stalkers, but infestors are now being added. Those infestors going to stop those stalkers from being able to blink away. And actually, this is the wrong game, as I thought there was a Twilight Council. No, it is not a Twilight Council. Going for a Robotics Bay, and it should be Colossus in just a moment. Army-wise, 2450 versus 2150. As you can see, 57 drones now coming in compared to 73. Income-wise, Axslav finally getting a full use off of his probes, but he really needs to perhaps try to establish another base at some point, as MorroW will soon be running off of 4 bases. Another queen could easily make its way over here and start training up even more and more drones. The center portion of the map, one zealot having a very, very bad day as it is completely surrounded and taken down. Back over here, the zealots are not upgraded at all. 0-0, finally getting the level 1 weapons upgrade. But the army of MorroW, 0-2 upgrades on the Hydralisk and 2-2 upgrades on those Zerglings. Same thing on the infestors. The infestors also have 2 armor as well, and they should be able to deal a fair amount of damage. Overlord just hiding off on the north side of the map as the stalkers look to establish another expansion over here. A very, very nice and safe choice, as he does not want to try to expand into this location, as these rocks have already been taken down. And now MorroW also making his way out with additional overlords as well. The stalkers and another Zergling quickly getting taken down there. Army-wise, 3,400 versus 3,450. MorroW making it a very strong case to show why his macro is completely superior to Axslav right now, as he is now even mining, and getting perhaps a higher mineral return rate, as he is no longer mining with diminishing returns. Axslav finally getting the level 1 weapons upgrade and a Colossus now, but I believe MorroW will be moving out with this very large army at 166 food. Oh, and also using a fungal growth in order to spot an infestor, or not spot observer and take it down. Zerglings, Hydralisk over here, and this is going to become a really, really interesting flank, as the Zerglings now making their way into the expansion location, and also coming in over here. The Zerglings now simply running around, taking down the photon cannons. The photon cannons are able to still 2-shot, as the infestors are now trying to perhaps going to pull away, but the Zerglings, Zergling upgrades, 2-2, no crafting upgrades, but the Nexus is still going to get taken down, and now this Nexus is going to go down as well. So it is going to be, 2 bases compared to 4 at this point, as the Zerglings now running straight into the location here. You can see that there is 1 photon cannon operational, but it is going to get surrounded by Zerglings, and now the probes going after the Zerglings going after the probes, as there is some long distance mining happening. Axslav needs to perhaps utilize his stronger army in order to get some damage, but there's so many infestors, and even without Neuroparasite, the infestors can still stop those Colossus and delay this attack, and until MorroW can perhaps just simply out macro. Zerglings now coming in for the swarm, and fungal growth hitting across multiple units, and now it's going to be another fungal growth, most likely just continually chaining fungal growth. So many stalkers are low on hit points. You can see a lot of damage being dealt. The infestors dealing 48 damage per fungal growth. The Zerglings able to take down the stalkers there, and Axslav is forced to say GG. Axslav was in a very, very impressive point in the mid portion of the game, but he was sitting on 1,200, 1,600 resources, 1,200 minerals, and that's ultimately what did him in. If he was able to warp in that Nexus, maybe 90 seconds, a minute and 20, or a minute later, he would have been so much further ahead in terms of economy. He had the probes, he was oversaturated at his main base and the natural expansion, and because of that, he wasn't really able to utilize the advantage that he was trying to go for in the mid-game. MorroW then able to come back with a vengeance, and reestablish his expansion, and then power drone back up using a lot of Zerglings. The Zerglings with so much map presence and upgraded to 2-2 was able to take down the Protoss army, which was ultimately only upgraded to 1-0. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 matchup and game 2 in this best of 3. Obviously, MorroW taking the series. So the link to game 3 obviously most likely will just take you back to this. It's because I unlist all of my game 3s so that you guys are not spoiled in terms of the outcome of the game. Some of you guys say you guys are spoiled by me because I try to put up 4 videos a day. But NASL and all of those other places out there, you have plenty of opportunities to watch a lot of live games, and thank you for watching me. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, hope you guys enjoyed this game, and hope to see you guys on Battle.net.